Hey y'all, it's nothing lightly. We're here with another episode. I'm C's and this is Dee. This episode, we got something special because the WNBA, we're heading into the playoffs. And we just need to give our recap of what happened over the last few weeks. Since the All-Star break, we had a few injuries and people are back. Deasia will get into that. But what is our take as we lead to this playoff push for the WNBA? And we've even seen a team that has already dropped out of the playoffs. They won't make it. So, Deasia, give them that. What are we talking about today? So today, we're talking about the WNBA standings. As we know, the Liberty have dropped down to number 5 right now. The Atlanta Dream, they've moved up to number 2. And then you have the Aces. They're on a big run. And then I think they won 10 straight now, and they're about to play the Sky tonight. So they're at number 3. And a lot of that is going to A'ja Wilson. But I think an unsung hero on that team right now is really this all started after they got that trade with Nalissa. Ever since they got her, they've added... You kind of add a good big, like a good 3, a good 4 that can kind of take some of the load off of A'ja Wilson. No, she's not going to score as much as her, but you can't leave her. She's somebody that could play in the pocket. She could play a high-low game, and she has a good short corner jump shot. But really, she's going to get some rebounds, and she's going to play some defense. That's the piece that they needed, and she's actually helped them a lot on this run. But A'ja Wilson is just playing phenomenal. She's had several 30-point games in this month of August. I would say she would be the MVP this season, but you can't give her that. And it's because of one player. It's because of Queen Phee, and she was the player that just came back off of an injury. She played last night in a game versus the Fever, and she dropped 32 in her return, and that's just the type of season that Queen Phee is having. And you cannot not give her the MVP because they sitting at number 1. That's what happens in the NBA. It's going to happen in WNBA. You give the MVP to the player who's not only performing but leading their team. And right now they sit at number 1. The Lynx are number 1, so that's why she should be the MVP. What do you think, C's? Who is your MVP this season? Well, I'm going to be honest and say I haven't watched as much WNBA basketball as you have. I typically stick to my favorite teams. So for me to give my opinion across the league isn't fair. But from what I'm seeing in this last few weeks of those teams that are going to be in the playoffs, I would say it's going to come down to, my popular opinion would be A'ja Wilson and Phee. And that's only because they've been winning. But you was talking yesterday night, and let's just kind of go into this segment of our head-to-head matchup with the Indiana Fever and the Minnesota Lynx yesterday. That head-to-head matchup, we did see Napheesa Collier, that she was able to come back, and as you mentioned, she led that team. What did she have, a 32-point night? They was up by like 10 or 12 points in the third quarter, and they just ran away from there. But you mentioned something. Give us some information on that. What's the details of that? So Kelsey Mitchell has been having a phenomenal season so far. I mean, the Fever, they wouldn't even have a chance if it wasn't for a couple of players on the Fever right now. The Fever, unfortunately, they've been faced with a lot of injuries. They've lost 6 guards. They had to get Odyssey Sims on their team. They traded to get her to come back because they just losing a lot of guards. Cunningham is out. We know that Colston is out. These are like your backup guards. Clark, she's out, but they're claiming that Caitlin Clark should come back soon. She should make a debut before even a playoff break, so that'll be huge for them. I don't think it's going to be enough to make a strong contention for a championship, but who knows? But I just really don't think anybody is going to beat the Lynx. Now, could that potentially mess up the Liberty, the Sparks, the Seattle Storm? Possibly, because Caitlin Clark, she is a big factor on that team. But right now, the number 1, the biggest factor is Kelsey Mitchell. They don't win any games. Even if you bring a Caitlin Clark back, they still not going to win without Kelsey Mitchell. She is playing like a true dog right now. I say it in the month of August, they said she's had 7 20-point games. 20-point games here. This is like consistently she's dropping 20-point games. And what happens there is that means that the ball is going through her. They don't have a chance. This team scored 84 points last night, and out of it, she had 26 last night. She had a big game. but she's been doing this consistently, and that's what makes her the it factor on this team. And with that, they're saying that she should be somebody that's in that MVP talk. Now, I think you could just throw Kelsey Mitchell in for laughs and giggles, but do I think she could win an MVP over a candidate like Queen Phee or even an Asia Wilson? No, I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think that she could, at this point, even win it over Alicia Gray, because that's how good the Dream are playing right now. But I do say that Kelsey Mitchell is somebody on that team. If you're going to say MVP of that team, yes, she is. The Fever, they need her. They won't have a chance. There's two other players playing really good on the Fever right now. You got Aaliyah Boston and, of course, Natasha Howard. They scored 10 last night. Natasha Howard hit 10 and Aaliyah Boston hit 14. So they're having great seasons as well, but it's just not enough. Now you bring Caitlin Clark back. The only issue there is that you kind of mess up the dynamic that Kelsey Mitchell is playing, because now she's used to having the ball so much. So when you bring Caitlin Clark back, how is that going to affect her with her scoring here? Do you think she will continue 20-point games? Because now Caitlin Clark is going to have the ball. That's just how the Fever is built. I can't see her having 20-point games, but I could see her being in double figures. Because they need scoring. You always should have at least 3 strong options on the court. She gives another option. That really shouldn't take away from where the team is going. It actually should. It should change the way the defensive strategy is. Now you have to pay attention to Caitlin Clark. You have to stick with Kelsey Mitchell if she's playing off the ball. And you still got strong offensive presence in Aaliyah Boston. It shouldn't really hurt them. It actually should just make it harder for other teams to match up with them. That's what it should do. But you won't see that if the ball is heavily in one person's hands. So it'll be great to see her back because they can use her. They need her. I would say that you can see that some of the new players, and they talked about this in last night's game, that they're kind of just playing the offense just at the surface level. They're not really getting into the details or getting into all of the offensive options just because they have so many new players and they can't get as deep into the playbook. And if you know how difficult is that to have to go to a new team, learn the playbook, but also, then they talked about that too, staying in shape. Yes, what would that feel like for you? What would that be like? And how do you keep your mindset at this level that I'm still a WNBA player? I'm just not picked up right now, but in me, I am a WNBA player, and I always got to be ready. Talk about that mentality. I think that's the beauty of the WNBA. It's kind of like it's a dream and a nightmare at the same time because, like you said, you do have to stay ready. The nightmare side of it is you don't know when you're going to get called, and you can never, not be ready. You looking at a Tia Cooper, she just played in McDonald's All-American alumni game. And that's a good platform to showcase, hey, we can be in a WNBA. I mean, although it was just 2-on-2 basketball, don't think that teams are not looking at that. What happens in a WNBA is they just really recycle players. If you was in a WNBA, you could never say, well, I don't have a chance to be back, because yes, you do. We've seen so many players this season on just the Fever come back. Chicago Sky picking up players. Like every team has picked up some players that was actually out of the WNBA. And even if you're not in the WNBA this season, you still have a chance next season. So you have to stay in shape. And if you see a Tia Cooper, you wonder, why does she go play in that game? That's a form of staying in shape. When you look at Athletes Unlimited, Unrivaled, these are also leagues to stay in shape. But just the reality of it is, even if you're not playing these leagues, you got to go get up early and train every single day as if you're trying to get back in the WNBA, because they can call you in a heartbeat. Somebody is always going to be hurt. That's why I say it's a dream, because you do have a chance to get back in the WNBA. But you know what, and this thought just came to me. I compare it to other sports. We don't say this. We don't look at it as if this was track, they just out of competition mode. Their schedule is nowhere near like what we see with sports, these contact sports. You don't see that they have a full schedule, basketball, baseball. Well, that's not a contact sport, but you get what I'm saying. These scheduled dominant sports, football, soccer, they have a competition season, right? I guess they do in track have a competition season, but there is always some off time where they're not competing. But we never had that question whether or not they're ready or ready to compete. We don't ask that question because it's kind of like if you still are available to run DH, you kind of expect, yeah, they in shape, they ready, or they're still been at some way training. So why do we have this where it's kind of like shocking? Oh yeah, they do got to stay in shape for WNBA, for basketball. They should, because you're still a professional at the end of the day. And it's just like in any other industry. Wouldn't you want to be at the top of your skill set? If you're a surgeon, if you're an accountant, you still have to be at the top of your skill set. You shouldn't take no days off. But I appreciate the fact that the WNBA in their commentary, they drew light onto that, because at the end of the day, they're professional. They should be ready. They should be ready to be called up. The G League does it all the time in the NBA. It's just no such thing in WNBA. And is that lacking? Is that a space that they could utilize? And we talked about this before, but DH, now that this question is out here, is it truly a space where they should have a G League? I think right now, the WNBA, they need to focus on what they're doing, expansion of more teams. Then I think you could put in a G League. I think expansion of more teams would this would get rid of the issue of we got players sitting around and they not on the team. Then I think you could draw from, okay, you say you expanded the teams, what they got, you get to 20-something teams, right? And you got some leftover players. I guess you could make a G League, but I think still their priority right now should be two things: pay the players and expand the league. Keep expanding the league. And if that just hurts that you don't have players to draw from, well, unfortunately, that's just the cost you have to take. But let's be honest, there's people all across the world that can play in the WNBA. Everybody knows some. I feel the same way with the NBA. You know somebody that can play in the NBA, Sierra, that can come off the bench, right? You probably know a player that was really good in high school and you thought, oh, wow, they're going to be good in college and go to the NBA. I'm pretty sure. The same thing with the WNBA. There's other players that can play in this league. We go and watch the games, and that's not taking a shot at the WNBA. It's great basketball. These are the best in the world. But do I think that I probably could see some more players across the world playing that league? Yes. That doesn't mean they're going to be a star or a starter, just a good role player. Or maybe you're going to play on the bench. You could be a good practice player. And then when we need you towards the late game, you can get in there and hold your own. We saw the game last night, Sierra. They put in the subs with 1 minute left. What did they say? The commentators were saying this is how they see if you're going to get extended for the next season. If you go out there and in this minute and showcase some grit and you're not walking down the court, this is what it's about. You gotta, you should always, the point of this is stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's the point. And it applies to sports. I think anybody watching or anybody, if this is your goal of, being great in sports or being somebody that is highly competitive, always have to stay ready no matter what level you at. And we see it's paramount at the pro level. Yeah, so as we take a transition, we talked about the MVP battle. What about the rookie battle? You got Kiki playing well, you got Sonia Citron playing well, but then, of course, you got Paige Beckers, who just dropped 44 a couple nights ago. Who do you think, without a doubt, is going to take this Rookie of the Year? I say Paige Beckers, and that's my opinion. Even though her team is not doing well. They are not winning games. But I just say that you cannot overshadow what this young lady has done in her rookie season. We haven't seen it. I don't even say these numbers came from Caitlin Clark. We just have not seen this since almost the beginning of the WNBA's history. That's how long it's been since you've seen a player so dominant. And yes, scoring wise, she has open floor. She got so many moves. She's so skilled. And we saw this coming. This is not a surprise. But how can you not award a player that has so much attention right now? You can't do that. You have to give it to her. And then she's backing it up. She's proving it. 44 points, that's the most points scored this season, just there. And then that hasn't been done. I think anything close, or if it's been done, it's been like 20 years ago. It's been a long time. So shout out Paige Beckers. We always knew this from you. I mean, we're not surprised, but it's a lot of conversations out there where, they're not winning, blah, blah, blah. But again, she has an elite skill set. She has a counter for a counter for a counter. And then her ball handling ability to just get to her spot. She can stop on a dime and hit you for a jump shot. Then she can shoot from distance. She can get to the basket. She can pass. It's like really nothing. I'm excited to see what the next season holds. This season is kind of a wash because that is the team that has already been. I mean, it's a couple of them that are already out of the playoffs, but I'm excited for next season. I hope. And you know what I'm thinking, Deasia? Maybe a lot of the trades, because a lot of the key trades came from Dallas. Maybe that kind of mismatched their team. What's your thoughts there? I would say, yeah, I was so glad when Dejanay is going to the Lynx. She helps the Lynx so much defensively. Now you could take McBride off of the best player and she can focus on scoring and hitting the three consistently, which is what she's going to do. Oh, you get out there with her three, she's going to the basket. She can just be a straight scorer, which is she has played great defense. She does play great defense, but you get to have her lay off. She doesn't have to play on your best player, and that's what Dejanay is coming in doing. They say her first couple of games and several games, she's been in double figures. Last night she didn't score so much, but she was, of course, bringing the energy, and that's what they need. When that game got close towards the end, what did she do, Sierra? We kept yelling at the TV, put her in, because you need to put her on Kelsey Mitchell, and that's just what she's going to do. You're going to see her a lot in the playoffs. That's what's going to win a championship for them. Putting Dejanay on the best player and having her play some defense. If they end up in a championship finals versus the Aces, you have to put Dejanay on Jackie Young the whole time. I would never take her off with her. I wouldn't. Would you see her? I wouldn't either. She would be in her pocket following her. It would almost be like a boxing one. But I think because she came to that team, they were already a defensive, like, dog team. But now to me, they are the most defensive. And they have the most capability of doing so. They are all over the court. And then I like that massive. I like that this lineup when they had TN, they had Courtney Williams, Dejanay, they had Phee on the court, and I forgot the other. They had one other player. But I love that. Go small. Get scrappy. Speed up the game. And they was doing well for that little minute or two that we saw that. But she did pull them out because, yeah, you need size. But I hope that they go to that more. Would you like to see that? And yeah, I mean, I would like to see that because what you're basically doing is you just going to have 5 out because you can get Phee to come out and shoot the 3. So what that's going to do is leave a lot of room for cuts. 5 out, all you got to do is pass and cut. Get around some curls, get to the basket. And that's actually what we kind of saw from the Fever. They were curling a lot, except, Aaliyah Boston would flash to the free throw line. But the problem is, the Fever just don't have anybody, the other guards outside of Kelsey Mitchell, nobody is looking for their shot consistently. That's their issue. Yeah. And maybe they still getting used to the offense. It could be it's different factors that we can contribute to. Maybe that's why we didn't see it yet. But what I'll say is, going back to Paige Beckers, one thing about her is y'all got to not forget that she's doing this with Enrique, a great scorer. So a lot of people in the comments saying, oh, Paige is the only one doing this. Yes, she can get 44 points. Let's not forget, Enrique is a major scorer. That's like hard to do, Sierra. That's like when you put LeBron and D Wade together and one of them is not going to be able to score as much. This is what's happening now. Obviously, Enrique, when Paige is on, you're not going to see Enrique get to 20-some points. But just let's not forget that this is Enrique. She can also score 40. You know what I mean, Sierra? So that's another amazing thing that Paige is able to do this with another dominant scorer in a guard. This is not a big where she's feeding. This is another guard who can do the same thing. So that just makes it crazy to me. And one thing I like about Paige is her mid-range game. It's deadly. She's bringing it back and showing how deadly that can be in the WNBA. I think another player that does really good with that is Courtney Williams. Those two, but Paige is on another level with it right now. And this is just her first season. So I'm excited. I know you're excited, Sierra, to keep watching them. Another team we're excited about, unfortunately, who won't make the playoffs is the Sky. That's been our team. We got to go to 4 games this season. And just tell me a little bit about your experiences going to the Sky game this season. Well, I really enjoy the Sky. This is my first time seeing them in the Wintrust Arena. When I've last seen them, I think they was playing somewhere down by UIC, if you know the Chicago layout. I like them in the Wintrust Arena. It feels like you're in you're watching the Chicago Sky. It doesn't feel like you're watching the Bulls. It doesn't feel like any other Chicago team. It just feels like this is the Sky. Everything about the Sky, but I love how interactive it is. It's the type of arena, or it's the type of experience where you can bring your grandmother, you can bring your mom, you can bring your dad, your cousin, kids in the community that maybe you're trying to introduce them to basketball. So it's something for everybody. And I feel like when you're in that arena, they have you on your feet the whole time. Plus, it's like they do little things. I don't want to give everything away because I really want to encourage people to go see the Sky play, especially this season, that it's things that they do to just hype up certain players. And it's great because even as if they're losing or in their tight game, it brings the fans. It gets you involved. So it's entertainment the whole time. Go out and see the Chicago Sky play if you can. I don't care who's playing. You would enjoy yourself. Whoever they're playing, you would enjoy it. And I think that brand, they're just building it. It has really, in the past 10 years since we've seen the Sky where they started the Asia, this is just a different level, and I love it. And a lot of that is because of Angel Reese. You bring a Cardoza. You got big names here. It's going to be interesting to see how long they could keep these two dominant players, because really what they should do is just keep building around them to have a really good team. We've already talked about this. But another thing we haven't talked about, what we should discuss, is the teams that's sitting from 6 through 9. That's the Seattle Storm, the Valkyries, Indiana Fever, and the Sparks. One thing I'll say about the Sparks, is probably the most gritty team in the WNBA. You got a KP, you got Rakia Jackson, you bring back Cameron Brinks, but this team, for some reason, they win some, they lose some, but they win late games. So if they able to get to that 8th spot, this is a team in the playoffs that can kind of shake things up. But 6 through 9 is sitting very close. We got to see who's going to make the playoffs. Only 8 teams go, and right now, Indiana Fever is sitting number 8. Who do you say out of that 6 through 9 lineup for you, Sierra, will make it? Tell me the teams again. Seattle Storm, the Valkyries, the Fever, and the Sparks. Well, I'm going to tell you who I don't really see. I really don't see Indiana, and even if they get Caitlin Clark back, I think that these other 3 teams, if they dig in, they just have a bit more as a team than what the Fever has. Seattle Storm, they just kind of fell off in the last few weeks, but I always thought that was a strong team with a lot of veteran presence. They're just going to be hard to beat when crunch time comes. The Valkyries, they're a young, exciting team, so they're the exact clash of that team. They're young and exciting, and I think that why wouldn't they want to break history in their first year, in their debut season? I just can't see them not get into the playoffs. I see them, but then you can't. It's like it's hard to knock out the Sparks. But if you ask me right now, I'm gonna just go with the Valkyries because I want to see that happen for the league. The league needs this. They need them to make it to the playoffs just for the story. I'm all about the story, so I'm going with the Valkyries. So you got Seattle Storm, Valkyries. Who you saying that the Sparks will make it over to Indiana Fever? No, you think the Sparks? Yes, they gonna. If it came down to them, I don't know how it's set up. 8th is Indiana Fever and 9th is Sparks. One of these teams are not going to make it. The Indiana Fever. I said that. I'm thinking that you're saying in these last few, the Indiana Fever. They're not going to make it. The Sparks are going. Okay, well, we're going to see if we're right on this one because when we gave our predictions of the NBA, we was way off. But the playoffs is coming up. The teams that won't make it, we know without a doubt, is Connecticut Scum. We already talked about the Chicago side, and unfortunately, the Dallas Wings with Paige Becker. I mean, let us know in the comments who you all think is going to have a big run in the playoffs. Who's going to make it, to the top 8 teams. Actually, who's going to win a championship right now? I can tell you we both agree that the Lynx, there should be no reason why they don't win this year. Unless for some reason the Dream come with it, the Aces come with it. But I really just don't think this is a solid team all around. They got all the pieces they need. They play together. They play like a family. And you just added one of the best defensive players this league has seen, Dejanay Carrington. How are you going to beat them? I just don't see it. Okay. This is our last little segment. We calling it Shot Clock. Deja, you got 20 seconds to give me as many WNBA facts as you can. And some of them can be suspect. I'll let you know what is suspicious facts. But try to give me, you got 20 seconds starting now. 20.
Well, the Lynx are in the number 1 place right now. The Dream is number 2.
The
15.
Sparks are currently in number
14.
9. Cameron Brink came
13.
back. She had 5
12.
blocks in a game.
11.
Last season, I think
10.
she might have had 5 blocks
9.
this season.
8.
Rakia Jackson
7.
has won many games
6.
this season for the Sparks.
5. 4.
Odyssey Sims just got
3.
traded back to the Fever.
2.
Sydney Colson is out.
1. I love how you throw in Sydney Colson is out. I think you gave us at least 5 facts. You kind of got stuck in the Sparks.
I don't give any old history. This is current facts. Stuff happening right now. If you want to go back and want to check my facts, you can call me Stat Baby, Fat Baby, whatever you want to call me. But I got to look up that stuff. And you can't ask me WNBA facts now. Some things that I will say is the WNBA, this league is a short league. This league is a league that hasn't been around for a long time. So the history is actually new history. It's happening now. People need to understand that. So that's the facts that I came up with. Hopefully they weren't suspicious.
Well, some of them might be suspect, but you did give us some strong ones at the end. Sydney Colson is out, and Odyssey Sims is back. Shout out to her, because she always was a dog, and she still is. I think that was a great pickup. But this is where this episode is leaving out. DA should take us out. So this has been our episode. Thank you all for listening. If you want to stay in contact and touch with us, please follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell us how you feel about the WNBA. Who's going to make it to the playoffs? What team you're rooting for? Hit us in the chat. Thank you all for listening.